High Overseer Zarevek stood motionless before the Grand Assembly's viewing window, her crystalline form refracting the light of distant stars. 300 cycles of peace had made the Galactic Alliance complacent, their achievements in art and philosophy celebrated across known space. Their military existed purely as a ceremonial force, a relic of more primitive times. That peace shattered with a single sensor reading. Overseer, we have multiple vessels emerging from unregistered jump points, announced First Monitor Trell, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with anxiety. Configuration unknown. They're not matching any Alliance signatures. Zarevek's crystalline fingers traced patterns in the air, manipulating the holographic display. The Alliance's capital station, Paradise Point, housed representatives from 50 species. None had achieved what she now witnessed, a perfect tear in spacetime, far more precise than Alliance jump technology. 5 ships emerged from the rift. 4 were clearly escort vessels, their sleek hulls bristling with what could only be weapon systems. But it was the 5th ship that caused Zarevek's crystalline structure to resonate with shock. The vessel was massive, easily dwarfing the Alliance's largest ships. Its hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, covered in geometric patterns that defied conventional engineering. "Impossible," she whispered. "They're human." The assembled council members erupted in discourse, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of light, sound, and electromagnetic signals. Humans were supposed to be a primitive species, barely able to reach their own moon. The Alliance had deliberately avoided contact, planning to wait another century before even considering them for membership. "We are receiving a transmission," Trell announced. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies, using perfect Alliance protocols." "Show me." The holographic display shifted, revealing a human female in a dark uniform adorned with subtle silver markings. Her presence commanded attention, despite representing a species the Alliance had dismissed as primitive. "I am Commander Elena Chen of the HSS Aegis," the human spoke, her words automatically translated by the Alliance's systems. "We come with urgent warnings and an offer of alliance. The galaxy faces a threat that cannot be ignored." Zarevek's crystalline form vibrated with barely contained emotion. "Your presence here violates dozens of non-interference protocols. Humanity was not to achieve interstellar travel for another century." A slight smile crossed Commander Chen's face. "With respect, Overseer, we achieved interstellar travel 50 years ago. We simply chose not to announce ourselves." Her expression grew serious. "We had hoped to maintain this illusion longer, allowing us to prepare more thoroughly. But we no longer have that luxury." "Prepare? For what?" "The Void Hunters have awakened." Chen's words caused several council members to emit distress signals. "Yes, we know of them. We found their ancient warning markers, just as your people did. But while the Alliance chose to dismiss them as myths, we prepared. Everything about us, our seemingly primitive technology, our restricted space travel, our apparent focus on internal conflicts, was carefully crafted to hide our true purpose." The massive human ship's hull shifted, revealing weapon systems unlike anything the Alliance had ever conceived. They weren't the elegant energy projectors favored by Alliance designs, but rather something far more primal and deadly. "The Void Hunters destroyed 3 civilizations more advanced than yours before vanishing into hibernation." Chen continued. "We found their victims' records, studied their tactics, and built our entire civilization around preparing for their return. And now they're awakening." Zarevek studied the human commander carefully. In 300 cycles of overseeing the Alliance, she had never faced such a moment. Everything she knew about humanity, or thought she knew, was apparently an elaborate deception. "The Alliance has maintained peace for 3 centuries, she said finally. "We have no need for weapons or warfare." "Peace is precious," Chen agreed. "That's why we're here. The Void Hunters don't negotiate. They don't seek territory or resources. They hunt, consume, and move on. We track their awakening signs across 12 sectors. This region will be their first target." Before Zarevek could respond, Emergency signals flashed across the holographic displays. First monitor trails bioluminescence flared with alarm. Overseer, we're detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of Alliance space. They match no known patterns, but they match ours, Chen interrupted grimly. Those are Void Hunter scout vessels. The main swarm will follow within days. She leaned forward, her expression intense. The Alliance faces a choice, Overseer. You can cling to your protocols in peace, or you can accept that sometimes peace must be defended with force. We offer our help, but you must decide quickly. Zarevek turned to the assembled council, their various forms allied with signals of fear, anger, and confusion. The peace they had maintained for 3 centuries had just been shattered by the arrival of a supposedly primitive species wielding impossible technology. And now they spoke of ancient horrors returning to known space. She turned back to Commander Chen's image. You deceived us, hidden your true nature. Why should we trust you now? Because unlike the Void Hunters, we're giving you a choice, Chen replied. We could have waited, let your civilization fall, and fought them in the ruins. Instead, we're here, revealing ourselves, offering to stand with you. She paused, her expression softening slightly. Humanity remembers its own history, Overseer. We know the price of ignoring warnings, of believing peace can exist without the strength to defend it. We don't ask you to become warriors. We ask only that you let us help you survive. The emergency signals continued to flash, more urgent now. The choice Zarevek faced would reshape the galaxy forever. Trust these humans who had hidden their true nature for so long, or face the approaching darkness alone. The peace of 3 centuries hung in the balance, and time was running out. The grand archives of Paradise Point stretched for kilometers through the station's lower levels, a testament to the Alliance's dedication to knowledge. First Monitor Trell moved through the crystalline data stacks, his bioluminescent patterns dim with concentration. Behind him, Commander Elena Chen walked silently, her presence drawing curious stares from the few archivists they passed. These records date back to the founding of the Alliance, Trell explained, his patterns flickering with scholarly pride. If there's any truth to your claims about the Void Hunters, we'll find evidence here. You already have the evidence, Chen replied, her hand brushing against one of the crystal matrices. You've just chosen not to see it. Every unexplored sector, every forbidden zone in your maps, they're all centered around the ruins we found. They reached a sealed chamber deep within the archives. Trell's patterns shifted through complex sequences, unlocking ancient security measures. The door dissolved, revealing a room filled with artifacts that predated the Alliance itself. The predecessor vault, Trell announced. Objects and records from civilizations that existed before the Alliance. Many are still untranslated, their meaning lost to time. Chen moved directly to a section of twisted metal fragments, her steps purposeful. Not lost, she said quietly, just waiting for someone desperate enough to understand them. She pointed to markings that spiraled across the fragment's surface. These aren't decorative patterns. They're warnings, written in a mathematical language designed to survive the collapse of civilizations. Trell's bioluminescence flared with surprise. You can read them. We learned. When we found the first ruins in our system, hidden beneath Mars' surface, we thought we were alone in discovering them. But then we found more, scattered throughout nearby systems. Each site told the same story. The Void Hunters emerge, consume, and vanish. The survivors, if any, leave warnings for the next civilization. She touched one of the fragments, her fingers tracing the spiral patterns. This piece, it's from the Helios Empire. They dominated this sector millions of years ago, advanced enough to reshape planets, to harness the power of stars. The Void Hunters consumed them in less than a solar cycle. Impossible, Trell protested, but his patterns betrayed uncertainty. Our scientists examined these artifacts centuries ago. They found no evidence of. Your scientists weren't looking for evidence of extinction, Chen interrupted. They were looking for technological insights, cultural information. But the message was always here, hidden in plain sight. She gestured to the other artifacts. Each piece tells part of the same story. The Meridian Collective, the Crystal Kingdoms, the Quantum Confluence, all fallen to the Void Hunters. Trell moved closer to the fragments, his sensory apparatus extending to analyze them anew. If what you say is true, why didn't humanity contact us when you first discovered this? Why maintain the deception? Chen's expression hardened. Because we knew the Alliance wouldn't believe us. You'd achieved such perfect peace that you've forgotten how to recognize genuine threats. We needed time. Time to prepare, to build our defenses, to understand what we were facing. She pulled a small device from her uniform and activated it. A holographic display filled the chamber, showing detailed scans of the artifacts. Every piece of human technology for the past 50 years was designed with one purpose: to fight the Void Hunters. Our ships don't use standard drive systems because conventional engines don't work in the reality-warped space they create. Our weapons look primitive because they're designed to affect things that don't fully exist in our dimension. The holographic display shifted, showing images that made Trell's patterns pulse with alarm. Massive dark shapes moving between stars, their forms defying normal geometry. These are recent scans from the outer sectors. The Void Hunters don't just hunt. They corrupt space itself, turning it into something they can inhabit. That's why your sensors didn't detect them earlier. You were looking for things that exist in normal spacetime. A priority alert pulsed through the Archive's communication network. Trell accessed it, his patterns immediately shifting to emergency frequencies. Commander, the energy signatures at the edge of Alliance space. They're spreading. How many sectors? 3? No, 5. The patterns are unlike anything in our records. Chen's expression was grim. Because they're not just signatures. The Void Hunters don't scout with ships. They send pieces of corrupted spacetime ahead of them, preparing reality for their arrival. She turned to the artifacts. Your ancestors knew this. They left you the warnings. But peace made you forget how to read them. The alert frequencies multiplied, reports flooding in from across Alliance space. Trell's patterns became chaotic with incoming data. The signatures, they're changing everything they touch. Alliance sensors are going dark. Communication relays are failing. Because they were never designed to function in corrupted space, Chen explained. She activated her communicator. Aegis, begin transmission of defense protocols to Alliance Command. Priority override, authentication code Phoenix. You're giving us your technology. Trell's patterns showed confusion. After hiding it for so long, we're giving you a chance to survive. Chen's voice was firm. Humanity remembered something the Alliance forgot. Sometimes the greatest act of peace is being strong enough to defend it. She looked at the ancient warning fragments. Your ancestors knew this. They tried to tell you. Now you have to choose. Adapt to face what's coming, or join them in leaving warnings for the next civilization. The Archive's lighting fluctuated as the station's systems struggled to compensate for the spreading corruption. In the predecessor vault, surrounded by artifacts of fallen civilizations, humanity's hidden truth was finally revealed. The peace of the Alliance had been built on forgotten warnings, and now those warnings had become reality. The only question remaining was whether the Alliance would remember how to fight before it was too late. Paradise Point's Grand Council chamber had transformed from a place of philosophical debate into a war room. Holographic displays showed spreading zones of corruption across Alliance space, sectors going dark as the Void Hunters' influence spread. High Overseer Zarevek's crystalline form pulsed with emergency frequencies as reports of the first direct attacks arrived. Outpost Sigma has gone silent, announced a Meridian representative, their bioluminescent form dimming with distress. The corruption reached them an hour ago, their last transmission. The being's light patterns stuttered. They reported reality itself was breaking down. Commander Chen stood before the council, her uniform now bearing signs of recent combat. The HSS Aegis had just returned from a reconnaissance mission to the outer sectors, bringing back footage that had silenced even the most skeptical council members. The Void Hunters don't just attack ships or stations, Chen explained, activating a holographic recording. They consume space-time itself, converting it into what we call null space, a region where our laws of physics become optional. The recording showed an Alliance outpost as darkness engulfed it. But this wasn't simple darkness. It was an absence of reality itself. The station didn't explode or break apart. It simply ceased to exist in any meaningful way, its matter and energy converted into something that hurt to look at. 3 hours ago, we lost contact with the Centauri sector, reported First Monitor Trell, his patterns now permanently set to emergency frequencies. Our fastest ships report the corruption front is advancing at exponential rates. At current speed, it will reach Paradise Point in less than 2 days. Why? Demanded Counselor Vextra, their crystalline form vibrating with rage. Why attack us? We've maintained peace for centuries. Surely there can be some form of communication, negotiation. You don't negotiate with a supernova, Chen interrupted. The Void Hunters aren't evil in any way we understand. They're a fundamental force of unnature, converting ordered spacetime into chaos. They don't hate us. They don't even recognize us as living beings. We're just organized patterns they need to disorganize. The chamber erupted in multiple languages and communication forms as panic spread. 3 centuries of peace had left the Alliance unprepared for an enemy that couldn't be reasoned with, couldn't be appeased, and couldn't even be properly perceived. Silence. Zoravek's command cut through the chaos. Her crystalline form had taken on a darker hue, a sign of deep distress in her species. Commander Chen, you say humanity has prepared for this. How? How do you fight something that destroys reality itself? Chen gestured, and a new hologram appeared, technical specifications for human warships and weapons. By accepting that sometimes you have to break reality yourself. Every piece of human technology is designed to operate in null space. Our ships don't just travel through space. They carry a bubble of stable reality with them. Our weapons don't just fire energy or projectiles. They fire concentrated packets of normal spacetime into the void. Abominations, whispered one council member. You've created weapons that violate the fundamental laws of nature. Because we're fighting something that does the same, Chen replied firmly. This isn't about elegance or philosophical purity. It's about survival. The Void Hunters can't be defeated with conventional weapons because they exist primarily in null space. You have to reach into their domain and hurt them there. A new alert blared through the chamber. The holographic displays showed a massive void front approaching the Proxima sector, home to billions of Alliance citizens. We don't have time for debate, Chen declared. The Aegis and our support ships can begin installing reality anchors around key Alliance worlds. They'll slow the corruption's advance, but we'll need your help to establish a proper defense line. Our help. Trell's patterns showed confusion. What can we possibly offer against such an enemy? Your worlds have power sources we can use, manufacturing facilities we can convert. More importantly, Chen's expression softened slightly. Your people understand harmony and balance in ways humanity never fully grasped. We know how to fight the void, but we don't always know how to contain it. Together, we might be able to do more than just survive. We might be able to push them back permanently. High Overseer Zaravek rose from her position, her crystalline form now pulsing with determination. 3 centuries ago, the Alliance was formed because our ancestors understood that unity brings strength. We have grown complacent in our peace, forgotten that strength sometimes requires sacrifice. She turned to the assembled council. I move that we formally accept humanity's assistance and declare a state of emergency across all Alliance space. The vote was unanimous, fear finally overcoming pride. As the council chamber erupted in activity, Chen activated her tactical display, broadcasting orders to the human fleet waiting at the system's edge. All ships, begin reality anchor deployment. priority to population centers and critical infrastructure. Engineering teams, prepare for technology integration with Alliance facilities. She paused, looking at the spreading darkness on the strategic displays. And may whatever gods exist have mercy on us all, because the void certainly won't. The Alliance's great age of peace was officially over. Now they would learn if they remembered how to fight, and if humanity's long-hidden preparations would be enough to save them all from an enemy that wanted to unwrite their very existence from reality itself. The combined fleet hung in space at the edge of the Proxima sector, a strange fusion of elegant Alliance design and brutal human engineering. Commander Chen stood on the Aegis's bridge, watching as Alliance technicians integrated human reality anchors into their ships. The massive devices looked like cancerous growths on the sleek alien vessels, but they were the only thing keeping normal space-time intact around them. Integration complete on 70% of Alliance vessels, reported Lieutenant Sarah Rodriguez, her hands dancing across the tactical display. Their crystal matrix technology is actually improving our anchor efficiency by 12%. The Alliance may have forgotten how to fight, Chen mused, but they never stopped innovating. Their peaceful pursuits gave them technologies we never imagined. She turned to the holographic representation of High Overseer Zarevek hovering nearby. Your ships are ready. The crystalline being's form rippled with affirmative patterns, as ready as 3 days of adaptation can make them. Though I must admit, watching my people adapt your reality violation technologies has been disturbing. Sometimes survival requires embracing the disturbing, Chen replied. Status of the Void Front. Multiple displays activated, showing the approaching wave of unreality. The Void Hunters had abandoned subtlety now, their corruption of space-time visible, even to normal sensors. It looked like a wall of absolute darkness. But darkness was too simple a word. It was an absence of light, of matter, of reality itself. Multiple void entities detected within the front, Rodriguez announced. Largest concentration we've ever encountered. They know we're waiting for them. Of course they do. Chen's voice was grim. We're offering resistance. That makes us interesting. She activated the fleet-wide communication channel. All vessels, this is Commander Chen. The reality anchors will keep normal space intact around our ships, but don't rely on them completely. The Void Hunters will target the anchors first. They always do. When that happens, switch to null space protocols immediately. First Monitor Trell's voice came through, his pattern showing a mix of fear and determination. Commander, the Alliance ships have never operated in null space. Our crews aren't prepared for. They'll adapt, Chen interrupted. They have to. Humanity's first encounters with null space drove entire crews mad. But we learned, evolved, developed ways to perceive and function in it. Your people are more adaptable than you think. The Void Front accelerated suddenly, reality crumbling before it like tissue paper in a flame. Among the corruption, massive shapes became visible. The true forms of the Void Hunters. They defied conventional geometry, existing in more dimensions than the human mind could process. All ships, Battle Formation Delta, Chen commanded. Alliance vessels, maintain your position behind the human screening ships. Don't engage until. The void struck their defense line like a tsunami of unreality. Reality anchors flared across the fleet, struggling to maintain bubbles of normal spacetime. The Void Hunters attacked with weapons that weren't weapons. They simply extended their null space influence, trying to corrupt the fleet's preserved reality. Multiple breaches in the defense line. Rodriguez called out. Alliance ship Eternal Harmony has lost anchor stability. They're adapting. They've switched to crystal resonance to maintain their reality bubble. Chen watched in amazement as the Alliance ships began to evolve their tactics. Their crystalline technology, designed for communication and power generation, proved remarkably effective at maintaining stable spacetime. Different from human methods, but equally valid. Launch reality bombs, Chen ordered. Target the largest void entities. Alliance ships use your resonance fields to amplify the effects. The human fleet fired, launching weapons that looked like spheres of pure light. But they weren't light. They were concentrated packets of normal spacetime, designed to force reality back into the void. The Alliance ship's crystal matrices caught the weapon's effects and amplified them, creating cascading waves of restored reality that cut through the corruption. A void hunter larger than the rest emerged from the chaos, its form causing warning alerts across every ship's sensors. It moved with purpose, intelligence, focusing its attacks on the fleet's weakest points. "They're learning," Chen muttered. "Adapting to our combined defense." She opened a channel to Zoravek's flagship. "Overseer, your crystal matrices can amplify our weapons, but we need more power. Can your ships handle a direct null space exposure if their reality anchors are diverted to weapons? You're suggesting we deliberately expose ourselves to the void." Zoravek's form showed alarm. "The risk is necessary. Our weapons alone aren't enough. We need your technology's amplification capability at full strength." There was a moment of silence. Then Zoravek's form hardened with determination. "All Alliance vessels, divert reality anchor power to weapon systems. Brace for null space exposure. Remember your training." The effect was immediate and devastating. As the Alliance ship's reality bubbles contracted to bare minimums, their crystal matrices exposed to the edge of null space, the amplification effect doubled, then tripled. Human reality bombs detonated with unprecedented force, restored space-time cutting through the void front like lightning through storm clouds. The massive void hunter entity recoiled, its form distorting as normal reality invaded its domain. Around it, smaller entities began to retreat, their corruption faltering against the combined human-Alliance assault. "They're falling back," Rodriguez reported, excitement creeping into her voice. "The void front is actually retreating." But Chen's expression remained grim. "They're not retreating. They're gathering." That was a test. They wanted to see how we fight together. She turned to Zoravek's hologram. "How are your crews handling the null space exposure?" "Better than expected," the Overseer replied. "The crystal resonance appears to help maintain mental stability." "We're adapting, Commander, as you said we would." "Good." Chen studied the tactical display, watching the void front regroup. "Because that was just the first wave. They'll be back, with new tactics, new ways to unmake reality." She managed a small smile. "But now we know something too. Humanity's strength and Alliance wisdom together might actually be enough to fight them." The fleet regrouped, human and Alliance ships moving in perfect coordination now. They had survived their first major battle against the Void Hunters, but everyone knew the real war was just beginning. In the space beyond their reality bubbles, the void churned with unnatural movement as the enemy prepared for their next assault. The battle for tomorrow had been won. The battle for existence itself was about to begin. Paradise Point Station hung in the void like a beacon of defiance, its crystalline spires now interwoven with human reality anchors. The station had transformed from a symbol of peace to humanity's forward command center, while remaining the heart of the Alliance. In the modified council chamber, Commander Elena Chen stood before a gathering that would have been impossible just weeks ago. Human tactical officers working alongside Alliance specialists, their different approaches to reality finally working in harmony. "The Void Hunters are gathering for their final push," Chen announced, the tactical display showing massive concentrations of null space gathering at the edges of defended space. "They've recognized us as something new, not just prey, but a genuine threat to their existence." High Overseer Zarevek's crystalline form pulsed with complex patterns as she studied the display. "Their void front has changed. The patterns are different, more organized. They're evolving." First Monitor Trell confirmed, his bioluminescent patterns steady now even when viewing null space phenomena. "Just as we have. The difference is, they're becoming more ordered while trying to spread chaos. And we're embracing chaos to maintain order," Chen added with a grim smile. "The ultimate irony." She gestured to a new set of readings. Our latest scans confirm what we suspected. The Void Hunters aren't just corrupting space-time anymore. They're trying to rewrite the fundamental laws of reality itself. The chamber erupted in multiple forms of communication as the implications became clear. The Void Hunters weren't just attempting to consume this region of space. They were trying to change the very nature of existence. "How is that possible?" demanded one of the Alliance counselors. "Even they must be bound by some laws of nature." "That's just it," Lieutenant Rodriguez spoke up from her station. "They're not bound by our laws of nature because they're not from our reality. We thought they were entities that corrupted space-time, but they're actually manifestations of a different kind of existence trying to overwrite ours." Chen nodded. "Which is why our conventional weapons were useless at first. We were trying to fight them within the rules of our reality, rules they simply don't acknowledge." She turned to Zaravek. "But your people's crystal technology showed us something we never considered. You don't just maintain reality, you can reshape it." The Overseer's form shifted colors in surprise. "Our crystals are simply tools for communication and energy manipulation. We've never used them as weapons." "Exactly." Chen's eyes lit up with intensity. "You never thought of them as weapons because you were too invested in maintaining order. But what if that's exactly what we need? Not weapons that destroy, but tools that can rewrite reality just like the Void Hunters do." The tactical display shifted, showing a new battle plan that made several Alliance members pulse with shock. Human ships would form a spearhead, driving straight into the heart of the Void Front, while Alliance vessels would create a lattice of crystalline resonance, not to maintain normal space-time, but to actively reshape it. "You're suggesting we fight chaos with chaos," Trell observed, his patterns showing both fear and fascination. "Use our commitment to order to actually reshape reality rather than just preserve it." "The Void Hunters adapt by becoming more organized," Chen explained. "They have to coordinate their assault on our reality. But that organization makes them vulnerable. If we can use the Alliance's crystal technology to establish new laws of reality, while humanity's reality anchors prevent total chaos, we create a third state." Zaravek finished, her crystalline form resonating with sudden understanding. "Neither their chaos nor our rigid order, but something entirely new." Before further discussion could occur, emergency alerts blared throughout the station. The Void Front was accelerating, massive shapes of unreality tearing through space toward Paradise Point. "All ships, battle stations," Chen commanded. "This is what we've prepared for. Humanity will drive the spear. Alliance ships maintain the lattice. Whatever happens, whatever you see or experience, remember, reality is what we make of it." The combined fleet moved into position, human warships forming a wedge, while Alliance vessels arranged themselves in a complex geometric pattern. As the Void Front approached, the Alliance ships' crystal matrices began to pulse with unprecedented power, not fighting the approaching chaos, but working with it, using it. "Reality lattice at full power," Rodriguez reported. "Alliance crystals are operating beyond theoretical limits. They're not just maintaining our reality bubble anymore. They're extending it, reshaping the space around us." The Void Hunters struck with reality-ending force, but this time they met something new. Where their null space touched the fleet's defense, it didn't find rigid resistance or mere preservation of normal spacetime. Instead, the crystal lattice created a cascade of shifting possibilities, rewriting the laws of physics faster than the Void Hunters could corrupt them. "It's working." Trell's patterns flared with excitement. "The Void entities can't maintain cohesion. They try to corrupt one set of physical laws, and we've already shifted to another." Chen watched as the massive Void entities began to falter, their forms becoming unstable as they encountered a reality that refused to be either ordered or chaotic, but instead danced between states at the direction of the combined fleet. "All ships, press the advantage," she ordered. "Drive straight into their center. Show them that this reality belongs to those who can embrace both chaos and order." The human fleet surged forward, reality anchors working in perfect harmony with Alliance crystals. Where the void touched them, it found not victims but masters of a new kind of existence, one that could adapt and change without being destroyed. The largest of the void hunters, the entity that had coordinated their assault, tried to retreat, but the crystal lattice had already reshaped space around the battlefield. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide from the new rules of reality being written with every passing moment. In a final, desperate assault, the void entity tried to unleash pure chaos, attempting to erase all order from existence itself. But the combined fleet was ready. Alliance crystals captured the chaos, channeled it, shaped it, while human reality anchors provided the framework needed to prevent total dissolution. The void entity's form began to break apart, not into nothingness, but into something new, a form of existence that could coexist with normal spacetime without trying to corrupt it. "They're changing," Zorovec observed, her form pulsing with wonder. "Not being destroyed, but evolving, just as we have." One by one, the Void Hunters followed their leader, their forms shifting from engines of chaos to something else, something that defied easy classification. In the space of an hour, the battle that would decide the fate of reality itself came to an end, not with destruction, but with transformation. As the fleet regrouped around Paradise Point, Shen looked at the beings who had once been their greatest enemy, now transformed into something that could exist alongside normal spacetime without trying to corrupt it. The end.